spilling a bright red drink all over her dress. The room goes silent as Sophie stands there, humiliated.
Lina's Campfire Folktales.
In the pristine hallways of Brookwood High, students dressed in black blazers with golden crests. They walk confidently, and all seem to revolve around one central figure. Victoria Hayes, 17, impeccably dressed and commanding respect wherever she goes. Victoria stands with a group of girls, exuding confidence. Remember, if you want to stay in the inner circle, follow my lead. Got it, Victoria instructed. The girls nod in agreement, hanging on her every word. Victoria smirks, enjoying her influence over them. Sophie Adams, 16, nervously enters the lunchroom, clutching her tray. She's new, modestly dressed, and clearly out of place among the affluent students. She searches for a seat, but no one meets her gaze. Victoria notices her from across the room, her expression turning disdainful. "Who let the charity case in?" Victoria whispered to her friends, loud enough for Sophie to hear. The girls laugh, and Sophie hesitates, finding a quiet corner to sit alone. She lowers her head, focusing on her meal, but Victoria's cruel words sting. The next day, Sophie walks down the hallway, trying to keep to herself when suddenly a group of girls, led by Victoria, accidentally bump into her, scattering her books across the floor. As they walk away laughing, Ethan Carter, 17, athletic and kind-eyed, steps in to help her. "Don't let them get to you. They're not worth your time," Ethan advised. Surprised by his kindness, Sophie looks up and meets his gaze. "Thank you, Ethan, right?" Sophie asked shyly. "Yeah, and you're Sophie, the new girl. I've heard you're pretty smart," Ethan remarked warmly. Sophie smiles shyly, feeling a little more at ease. Sophie and Ethan sit together in the library, studying. They exchange notes and occasional glances, their growing affection evident. Victoria watches from a distance, jealousy burning in her eyes as she notices their closeness. Victoria sits in her lavish bedroom, plotting. Her face reflects a mix of bitterness and determination as she thinks about Sophie and Ethan. "No one steals what's mine, especially not her," Victoria muttered to herself. She grabs her phone and begins texting her friends, her grin growing as her plan takes shape. At the school dance, the gym is beautifully decorated, filled with students in their finest. Sophie enters, wearing a simple but elegant dress. Victoria and her friends exchange mocking glances the moment she steps inside. Victoria accidentally bumps into Sophie, spilling a bright red drink all over her dress. The room goes silent as Sophie stands there, humiliated. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there," Victoria apologized with feigned concern. Before Sophie can react, Ethan rushes over, taking off his jacket and wrapping it around her. "It's all right, Sophie. Let's get out of here," Ethan said, his voice gentle. He leads her away, leaving Victoria seething as her plan backfires. Outside, Ethan and Sophie sit on a bench, away from the dance. Ethan gently wipes a tear from Sophie's cheek. "You're so much better than they'll ever be. Don't let them win," Ethan reassured her. Sophie looks at him, her heart swelling with emotion. She nods, feeling a newfound strength. "Thank you, Ethan, for everything," Sophie whispered, gratitude filling her voice. They share a tender moment as the night sky sparkles above. Victoria walks through the hallway the next day, but the usual admiration is replaced by whispers. Students talk about how Ethan stood up for Sophie and how Victoria's plan backfired. Victoria's confidence starts to falter as she overhears them. Later, Victoria corners Sophie in the bathroom, her face twisted in anger. You think you've won, don't you? But this isn't over. Ethan will come to his senses and realize you're just using him, Victoria threatened. Sophie, tired of being pushed around, stands her ground.
No, Victoria.
I care about Ethan and he cares about me. You can't control everything, and you certainly can't control love, Sophie declared firmly. Victoria is taken aback by Sophie's defiance as she walks out with her head held high. Victoria sits alone in her lavish bedroom, surrounded by all her material possessions, but feeling emptier than ever. She stares at her reflection in the mirror, realizing that all her wealth and power haven't brought her the happiness she thought they would. For the first time, she questions her actions and wonders if she's been on the wrong path all along. In the school courtyard, Ethan speaks out against the rumors about Sophie. Several students admit that Victoria pressured them into spreading lies. The truth spreads quickly, and Victoria's manipulation is exposed. Watching from a distance, she feels her once solid reputation crumbling. Sitting alone in the garden, Victoria reflects on her actions. She watches as Sophie and Ethan walk by, laughing together, and for the first time, feels a pang of guilt instead of jealousy. She realizes that her actions have only hurt others and left her isolated. Determined to make amends, she decides to approach Sophie. Victoria finds Sophie sitting on a bench and approaches her with genuine remorse. Sophie, I owe you an apology. I've been awful to you, and I'm truly sorry, Victoria said sincerely. Sophie looks at her, surprised by the sincerity in Victoria's voice. After a moment, she nods. Thank you, Victoria. I forgive you, Sophie replied with grace. Victoria exhales in relief, feeling the weight of her actions lift. Sophie's forgiveness marks a new chapter for both of them. Victoria begins to change her ways, focusing on building genuine relationships and using her influence for good. She helps with school projects and slowly earns back the respect of her peers. Meanwhile, Sophie and Ethan's relationship continues to grow, their bond deepening with each passing day. Graduation day arrives, and the students of Brookwood High gather for the ceremony. As Victoria, Sophie, and Ethan receive their diplomas, they share a moment of silent understanding, acknowledging how much they've all grown. The camera pulls back as they toss their caps into the air, ready to face the future with newfound wisdom and resilience. The end. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and put on the notification bell.